Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today, we're going to go on a really fascinating journey through time. We're going to look at how societies evolve, from these simple, traditional communities all the way to the high-tech, information-rich world that we live in right now.
So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the basics of what a society even is. Then, we'll dive into the super important role that libraries play. And from there, we'll trace this whole evolution into the information and knowledge-driven world we're all a part of today.
Okay, let's jump right in. To really get a handle on our modern society, we've got to go back to a pretty basic question. What exactly is a society?
At its absolute core, this is it. It's a beautifully simple idea, right? Just imagine a traditional farming village. Life is all about agriculture, and everybody depends on those tight-knit community bonds for everything. For survival and support.
But the world we live in today, it's a completely different ballgame. The jump to a modern society is really defined by this explosion of institutions, schools, hospitals, and technology that has pretty much wiped out geographic barriers. It's turned the whole planet into one big, interconnected global village.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. You start to see how certain institutions become the actual engines that drive all this change. And one of the most powerful, and maybe one of the most underrated, is the library.
In a way, they're like society's collective memory. They hang on to all our accumulated knowledge, in books, in journals, and now in tons of digital formats. And it's all meticulously organized so that we can actually find what we're looking for when we need it.
In this table, it just perfectly shows the incredible transformation libraries have gone through. They've shifted from being these passive gatekeepers, just watching over the books, to being these proactive, service-first providers of information that can get to you wherever you are exactly when you need it.
And hey, this isn't just some academic theory. Think about huge digital libraries like the NDLI. The library now literally comes to you. It's a complete flip of the old model where you always had to go to it. It's absolutely revolutionary when you think about it.
Okay, so let's keep going and see how all this builds up to a massive shift in society, a shift that's really driven by the power of information itself.
If you look back through history, you see this really clear path. Human societies went from being based on farms, where land was everything, to being based on factories, where machines were the source of wealth. And then computers came along, and we stepped into a totally new phase, the information society.
This is the big idea behind the information society. Information stops being just a tool. It becomes the main resource. It's kind of like the new currency that drives progress, innovation, and wealth in every single part of our lives.
A sociologist named Frank Webster gave us 5 really helpful ways to spot an information society. It's about the tech we use every day, it's about what our economy is built on, the kinds of jobs we have, that instant global connection, and, of course, the media-saturated culture that we're all swimming in.
But, and this is the big but, just having access to a flood of information, that isn't the final destination. The next step in our evolution is all about what we actually do with all that info.
So here's the absolute crucial point. An information society gives you the raw data, the facts. A knowledge society, though, that's a society where people are empowered to creatively use that information, to innovate, to build new things, to solve really complex problems. It's about application, not just having access.
And you can spot these societies by a few key things. They have world-class education, a really vibrant culture of research and development, and, most importantly, citizens who can actually use what they know to make a difference. Knowledge itself becomes the ultimate form of wealth for the society. This leads us straight into a new kind of economy. It's one that runs on a totally different and pretty much infinitely renewable resource.
So, unlike the old economies that were built on stuff you could run out of, like oil or coal, a knowledge-based economy, or KBE, runs on brainpower, on intellectual capital. Just picture a modern software company. Its biggest asset isn't a factory. It's the code, the brilliant ideas, and the patents created by its team. Its value is built on ideas. That's a KBE right there.
And in this kind of economy, there are 4 distinct types of knowledge that are super valuable. Let's stick with our software company. Their know-what is the market data. The know-why is the computer science that makes it all work. The know-how is the practical skill of their engineers to actually write great code. And the know-who? That's their network of partners and the best talent. You really need all 4 of those to win.
And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. With all this data right at our fingertips, have we really made the leap to becoming a creative, problem-solving knowledge society? Or are we just kind of drowning in a sea of information, struggling to make sense of it all?
What do you think our next step should be?